Live from Lisa Frank's Satanic Ritual.
Satan loves sparkles.
It's Some of Its Parts, a podcast of pop cultural misunderstandings. Today, my friends Andy and Kari are going to fill in the plot of The Young Pope. I think I'm just going to start by saying that The Young Pope is an Italian production, originally aired in Italy, and then was bought by HBO and premiered here in the States on that channel. So,
is it dubbed then?
No, it is done in it was filmed in English.
Okay.
Some of it, well, actually, quite a bit of it is in Italian, but that is subtitled.
Okay.
So,
this is anime.
Okay.
Subs, dubs, being picked up and broadcast later. This is anime, right?
Yeah. This is anime starring Jude Law, and Diane Keaton as a nun. So, just tell me, first impression. There is a show on HBO called The Young Pope. What is it? Go.
So I'm picturing that this is a young Pope John Paul working the inner city as a stripper.
As a stripper?
Like some Magic Mike shit, but it's Pope John Paul II. When he's younger and sexier, and so he meets a down-on-her-luck nun and is trying to convince her to leave and get with him because he is Mr. Hot Body.
As
Instead,
popes do.
Well, no. Here's the thing, is that it backfires, and she ends up making him a holy man. He ends up trying to make his way up the ladder of popedom, fighting the other bishops, while trying to keep this secret that he was once Magic Mike.
I don't think we really thoroughly discussed his origin story, because his parents were murdered by Satanists. So he is like Batman, essentially. So he goes and he fights like evil. So he sees all these like corrupt bishops.
He's
and he
stripper
puts
Batman.
on... Yeah. You can just say Batman. People know he's a stripper on the side. There's no way he makes that much money through Wayne Corp. That's not...
We're going back to the Joel Schumacher envisioned Batman then. All right.
With the nipples.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got to make those dollar bills. So... Right, his parents are murdered by Satanists, and he just dresses up as the Pope, so people will be, disarmed. They'd be like, oh, your holiness, and then he punches them in the face. Right? That's how he does it.
And he fights the bishops like this?
He fights everyone. He fights, people who are not on the holy side of things.
People who are on the holy side, children.
Children, yeah.
Look, I'm picturing
He's like a violent Santa Claus.
So I'm picturing him having one of those cat of nine tails whips that people rip their own backs apart with when they're really into holy BDSM. It's like, Archbishop Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I'm gonna remove your face with this strips of leather.
In this holy cage match, where we have to use steel ladders to get a suspended Bible. I'm into it.
The Archdiocese of Boston is played by a hologram version of Randy Savage.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah.
But then he also gives an awful monologue that lasts too long.
Yes. I have to
And
ask,
Tom Hanks has to save him.
how young is this young Pope?
I'm thinking that he's just on the cusp of manhood, so maybe 17.
I thought that he would be 7 and just beating the shit
He's
out
a
of
7-year-old
stripper. Oh, no, I mean he grows into being a stripper later. Yeah, I hope not. That actually puts a damper on my thing. I'm actually trying to separate myself from your version, because yours is really belongs on HBO. Mine's gonna be remade into a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yours, you can get it on Netflix, everybody watches it and they're like, yeah, this is pretty good. And mine is watched by masturbating 40-year-old men with tons of money. They're here for that Pope. They relate him.
I'm pretty sure that's the demographic of the actual young Pope. So, I'll just reveal this. Young Pope, Jude Law young Pope, about 30.
Oh, that's not... Why is he lying?
Because he's... Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's not even the youngest Pope. There was a 14-year-old.
So Jude Law's lying to us.
Yeah. Important question. This young Pope, Does he fuck?
I hope not. I don't know why you're asking me this question and why you're making such direct eye contact while asking it.
You said this is out on HBO, so it's not just fucking. It's like incredible amounts of fucking.
He brings in the cat of nine tails.
Oh, she does. Good. You know,
No. I'm asking you if that's what he does.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
How could he not? You know, he's been whipping the Rock's face off with it. You know, he might as well bring it into the bedroom too and like, hey, baby, you know, it's a sexy time peeling your whole back.
I don't remember wrestling being like that, but I think I'm on board. I think I need to revisit those classic characters of wrestling and see if anyone just flayed their back.
They don't call him the grave... Oh, wait. No, the Undertaker. For
the grave robber.
No, I was thinking
I like that he would have, like, a family with, like, that... Like, the Undertaker, then there's the grave robber, and they're constantly like, oh, I want the body to be down here.
And they're in marriage counseling together.
They're just trying to make it work. Like, every time I bury him, she just fucking digs him back up, and I'm just so sick of it.
See, that would be compelling melodrama. They should have a show about that, where it's a grave robber and an Undertaker who are married to one another and are just totally getting in each other's way.
I wish the young Pope was like that.
So Jude Law is 30, not young, and fucking around.
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't fuck. At all.
Thank God.
That is actually an important plot point for the entire show, is the fact that he does not fuck.
So...
Isn't that just a thing for popes?
Yeah.
Is that just me?
No, that's
I'm the religious expert here, and I genuinely don't know anything.
Yeah, they're supposed to be celibate.
Good.
Supposed to be. So we're going to get a lot of teasing.
Yeah.
What? No.
Well, yeah, that's why he said it's important, because, like, it's HBO. They're going to tease that shit constantly. He's going to be, like, walking down the street like, I'm celibate, and suddenly people are just going to be grinding up on him.
Oh my
Men,
gosh.
women, children.
And then he has to,
horses.
like, resist the urge to, like, kill them, because he's like, this is against the Holy Scripture.
Kill them.
Like...
He's resisting the temptation to use all of his stripper skills to, like, fulfill their lives.
Oh my gosh. He's, like, learning moves, like, jotting down notes, where he's like, I gotta try that on the pole next time. It'll give me an extra 50.
He's resisting the urge to give him some of that Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's really actually trying to fill them with, like, joy and happiness, you know, not just that hot, sweet.
I want some kind of, like, what is that called? Where, like, that girl leans back and, like, dumps water. What's that called? Flash dance. It's a flash dance thing, but instead of, like, just regular water, it's holy water. That's what I want.
What,
Listen,
they have, like, dunk tanks at the strip club?
No,
where it's just, like,
dude,
we're dancing and then suddenly,
no.
like, oh, yeah.
Flashdance was, like, not a stripper movie. By the way, I don't know anything about Flashdance. It's just an iconic scene where that woman is, like, dancing. She's a maniac, and then she, like, that's not, like, a stripper thing. That's, like, a modern dance thing.
Maniac.
Yeah.
That's from something?
That's from
That's
Flashdance.
That's the main theme to Flashdance.
Where this girl's dancing, and then she gets on a chair, and then she, like, pulls a fucking cord, which, by the way... I don't know how that got there, but she just does it, and then water falls on her.
I think she's a sort of cabaret dancer.
Is that what it is? I believe you.
We have transitioned from young Pope to figuring out what the fuck Flashdance is.
Okay, don't get derailed here. We've got to talk about what Jude Law is after. If he's not
after the lady from Flashdance.
He's
just chasing her through the streets. It's like some 80s music video.
He's like, did you kill my parents?
The song's going, he's a maniac. No, he's a maniac. Get the fuck out.
He's a religious fanatic.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's gotta be.
No, but really, like, what the hell is his plot advancement? If he's just like, I'm the Pope, but I'm young and I don't fuck things. Like, that's not compelling melodrama. Where's he going?
He fights the bishops, because I think that the bishops killed his parents to try to get some notoriety for the church.
So now there's, like, kind of a revenge story arc where he's just kill-billing his way through everything.
Yeah.
He's just whipping off people's face. He's got to fight the next boss.
But I would love it if in the end, his parents are alive. And
they
like,
ordain him Pope.
Yeah. And they
Good job, son.
You're worthy of being the Pope that we knew, the bloodthirsty Pope we wanted.
And he's just sitting there in a pile of his dead enemies there before ascending the altar and letting up the white smoke to say that the gods had chosen him.
And Jesus is up there just waiting for him like, yes, my son, yes. I cannot believe how...
Did we nail it?
Yeah.
What is this?
It's time for the reveal. The reveal?
So his parents were hippies who abandoned him when he was a little itty bitty boy. And so he was sent to live at an orphanage run by the nun played by Diane Keaton. So he is growing up in this orphanage, being super pious, when he and his friend find out that, like, the groundskeeper that works at the orphanage, his wife is dying of some unspecified illness. And they both go to see this dying woman.
Please don't tell me that he heals her with his amazing spiritual powers.
That is exactly what he does.
Fuck
he
me.
prays to God and openly says, hey, heal this woman. And she gets the fuck right back up.
Like, literally just stands up and starts fucking, like, line
Tap
dancing.
I mean...
we were close.
Yeah, basically. And so, she doesn't get up. But the important thing is, he heals this woman, and then basically spends the rest of his life in piety until he's 30, when he is elected as Pope.
At 30.
Yeah. And his mentor is this guy played by, I think his name is James Cromwell. And he has the best line in the whole frickin' series, which is, I was supposed to be Pope. Because that was the whole deal.
That is basically the Joker of this whole Batman Pope thing.
Basically, for like 4 episodes, he's like kind of the primary antagonist. He's just like, Lenny, you're worthless, and you won't ever fucking amount to anything. Lenny is the name of the young Pope. And
he's like, I'm
and
Pope, old man. Die.
Yeah, more or less. Like,
I can heal the sick, and I can bury you in the fucking ground.
So you were asking what the primary struggle is? Our main character, Lenny Bellardo, he was abandoned as a child. He never gets over it. It dominates his entire reign as Pope.
Right.
That central, like, oh, I have super heavy abandonment issues. That's why I'm going to mentally deify James Cromwell in my mind as my mentor / Jesus figure. It's why Diane Keaton will forever be my Mary figure. Like, all this nonsense. And then when he finally becomes Pope, his whole thing is like, I'm going to take our church back to being mysterious and isolated. And we are going to close all of our doors, and people are going to have to bend over backwards to get into our church if they want to talk to me.
I need to hide the Batcave.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he is Batman.
He delivers his first address entirely enshrouded in shadow. So nobody
Like Batman.
Yeah.
Just like Batman. The way Batman does. Commissioner Gordon, I have an important thing to tell you.
Catholics of the world. I'm Batman.
I mean the Pope. Fuck, I always confuse those two.
Anyway, we're gonna fight crime everywhere for Jesus.
That's what Jesus would have wanted.
With our Justice League made up in the just of Jude Law, James Cromwell, and Diane Keaton, the washed up actors Justice League.
First of all,
Oh my god.
wow, that's really intense.
They're not gonna listen to this shit.
What, we get an angry call from Jude Law, like, I am so offended. And I'm like, I made you Bat Pope! What more do you want?
I was supposed to be Bat Pope.
Bat Pope, because he's got the Pope-mobile. Only he wants to make it edgy. So now it's just like Shadow the Hedgehog's head on wheels, and he pokes out the top and is just like,
The time of an open Pope-mobile is done. I want a Pope-mobile that is isolated and obscured from the world, and it must be dark and brooding and edgy. And
but it still has to be a shitty car, too.
Alfred, get me my robes.
oh my god.
Robin is a choir boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh.
Well, Claire and Ultra Boy certainly got a lot edgier recently. I don't understand quite why. And so this is all reminding me, in a really roundabout way, of my favorite part of the show. He performs miracles in the show, right? He prays a woman back to health. There's a barren woman who comes to see him and befriends him often. He prays for her to have a child, and she does. And
Girl, just adopt. Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
yeah, he basically immaculately conceives a child when it would have just been easier to
He's like, I was an orphan, but fuck that, make a new one.
Exactly. And
this kid's gonna have all my existential dread and none of my DNA. Yes! Freedom.
But the best part of the show is there's one point where he goes to, it's supposed to be an unnamed African country, but it goes unnamed, so it's basically just the producers thought Africa was a country. And he goes to see the head nun there, and he finds out that she's like really corrupt and like sexually abusing people under her charge. And so when he gets back to the Vatican, he prays to God, and then there's a montage of him praying and her having a stroke and fucking dying.
Wow. Did Christopher Nolan write this? Holy shit.
Yeah, secretly.
Is this CN's pet project? What's going on?
It does oddly sound like a CN thing. Like, we got hot Jude Law to go and be the young Pope via Dawson casting. And then, we're just gonna have him go around and instead of getting it on like every other wholesome HBO show, no, he has to go and pray for
Holy vengeance.
Oh, Satan. You recapped the show so well.
But it would have just been easier to... he takes the most roundabout ways of, performing miracles would not solve these problems as well
just
as,
Batman's
adopting.
Punching Joker in the face is not the same as creating, a system of, actual...
change.
Yeah.
Because, you were about to say, he could have just excommunicated her dumb ass and been like, yeah, get the hell out. I'm the Pope! I'm Bat Pope! Get out!
and get some brownie points from the press on the side.
It's you called out your subordinates who are corrupt. That's good, Bat Pope. Great job, Bat Pope. Everyone loves you, Bat Pope.
But I still can't bring back my parents.
Yeah, so it's not even worth it. Let me just pray to God and make sure that, they all fucking, die.
So we nailed it, I think. I think we nailed it.
You nailed it. You nailed it 100%.
Yes!
Great job, team. We were talking about, Bat Pope having, a tournament arc where he murders his way to the papacy. I think that's pretty far and removed from what's going on here. This sounds like emo CW Pope. He wants to be edgy. He wants everyone to be like, oh, that guy's cool.
Yeah.
Instead of just being, the good Pope that every Pope is just trying to be, I want to be the dark Pope.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I love that idea so much. A Pope that shops at Hot Topic? Yes.
Oh, and dunks on fucking everybody.
Dunks on everyone. He's just ballin'! 40
insults and belittles everyone.
Yeah,
It's
the first half of the season is him just relentlessly dunking on people and sending one of his subordinates to go live in the Arctic. Sorry.
Just one of those regions.
Hold on. You were just which one of these desolate places
Which
is
one
it?
is the really cold
I'm sure
one?
Australia is not a desolate place.
Have you...
I haven't been.
Ayers
but...
Rock, they all live on the coast because it's kind of desolate out. It's hard out there.
It is hard out there, but
wait, did
it's
you
not
know that out there, since people live so far apart from one another in West Australia, that they basically get together and have giant not orgies per se, but everyone for a couple 100 miles gets together, drinks so much booze that they lose their minds, and some of them wake up married to each other.
I didn't. I guess I know what I'm doing over my spring break.
Going to Australia and
possibly getting hitched.
Or the Arctic.
Or the
Arctic
Arctic
getting
and
hit.
marrying a penguin.
Hey girl, you want to be a heathen?
No, you're marrying a scientist, but the penguin is like
Officiating.
Yeah.
Oh, Professor Waddles.
I don't remember that episode of Evangelion.
Evangelion is another thing that I haven't seen and am really excited.
I think Andy and I know too much about it.
Okay, I wanna like bring this back to Evangelion, okay? Because this guy sounds like young Gendo, okay? So like, that kid who was immaculately conceived is gonna grow up to be like the wimpiest piece of shit ever, and then the angels are gonna show up and be like, young Pope, you're not young anymore, and you have like a scruffy beard, and we hate you, and your shitty kid's gonna have to fight us.
If it turned out that Hideaki Anno was a secret producer of this show, and the young Pope was supposed to be an origin story for Evangelion, that would make more sense than the finale to the young Pope actually did.
Wait, is the series completed? Or just
the first season ended in such a way that it boggles my mind that they actually renewed it for a second, because that doesn't make any fucking sense how, like, the actual first season ends.
Wait, so you're telling me that it ends in Second Impact? And, like, the show itself is genocided, and we're gonna have to spend 15 years collecting ourselves.
Yeah, Jude Law...
The world ocean is blood now.
Jude Law is, like, pontificating on the balcony to the masses, when all of a sudden you just see this bright light from the Arctic blow up the Arctic Circle.
It's Second Impact!
And
It's literally an impact!
Yeah, it's this giant angel with wings appearing, and it's like, that is,
It's Evangelion! Everyone's Ava trash! Everyone! HBO, you're Ava trash! The last scene is gonna be Masato as a young girl, actually young, being put into the escape pod by her dying father to be like, you have to live and raise Shinji and hit on that little jailbait ass.
I am just looking forward to the body pillows that will be produced of young Pope.
Yes, give me a Jude Law body pillow, for the love of God.
All the body pillows.
All the body pillows.
So, to all of our listeners who have seen The Young Pope, please do not tell my friends how it ends. I want them to live with this.
We already know how it ends.
Second Impact! Get in the robot, Jude Law!
Can we please end with get in the robot, Jude Law?
So, well, this was an interesting one, because this is, I'll probably say this for a lot of these casts, that this is a show that I wouldn't have seeked out. So, it was intriguing getting this view of it from your perspective, I guess, and us just botching every attempt at identifying it correctly.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that brings up a couple of good points about The Young Pope, is that I didn't seek this one out. I was introduced to it by a fan cast called The Papal Bowl, if we're allowed to plug other podcasts. And, like, they just... their commentary on it, if you listen to that and then listen to this episode, you'll notice it has left quite an impression on me. But, they just... their description of the show was so bizarre that I had to watch it. Because what this show is like, thinking about it, it's basically... it has the look and feel of a normal quote-unquote prestige drama that you would see on HBO, like big-name actors, good cinematography, like slightly lurid subject matter, but then, like, inject that with a whole plot point about a kangaroo that is sent to the Vatican and lives on the Vatican grounds.
It's kind of surreal in the way Breaking Bad is, right?
Yeah, but so much more bizarre and bonkers, and, like, a little more comedic, but not always... sometimes taking the comedy more seriously than it probably should.
Well, it's religion.
Yeah.
Wow.
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 All the emails. Get them ready, folks. So...
Have that sweet, sweet spam filter on. R.E. outrage.
What did you guys think of my description of this?
Like, you
show?
Really pitched this show. I went and looked up images later, like screenshots of the young pope, as I was editing this, and it seemed a lot less edgy or like dark than what you were selling it. Like, I was thinking like Shadow the Hedgehog levels of like dark edginess, and like then I'm faced.
Really, that's supposed to be dark in this Shadow.
Well, that's the touchstone here, okay? Like, whatever you perceive that video game to be like, it's a cartoon hedgehog carrying a gun and unvetted rage. And so when I'm looking at a picture of Jude Law looking very perplexed at a kangaroo, then I think, wait, this is a very different tone than what I imagined from Hunter's description. So I was, I guess, a little surprised when I looked further into the series after we did this.
Now, my only after effects of our podcast was Andy Party and his banner being Jude Law staring at a kangaroo, and I genuinely thought that was Photoshop. So...
No, that is an extended subplot throughout half of the first season.
The fact that we, A, didn't guess it, and B, it wasn't revealed to us.
Oh man, we didn't guess the kangaroo. We didn't guess that the plot points would involve a fucking kangaroo. We're so bad at this.
On reflection, I probably should have opened with some of that stuff.
No.
In a world where the papacy needs to be darker, edgier, more modern, we are faced with Jude Law and the kangaroo. It's like the holy hand grenade of Antioch, but it's like a kangaroo. Brother Maynard, bring the holy kangaroo!
Jude, you can't bring a marsupial into mass!
Look, God created this weird abomination, and we're going to love it as such.
We're gonna teach it Jesus, and we're gonna get it baptized!
If St. Francis can preach to the fire, we will preach to the marsupial.
And we will trade it to kick heretics on sight.
I love that. The fact that wasn't a major plot point makes me really sad.
Yeah, they're really missing out on some of the, like, uses of that kangaroo.
They super did not use the kangaroo to its maximum effectiveness.
Well, they didn't want to jump the shark in the first season. Maybe that's going to be season 3, okay? Pope Reloaded and featuring Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah.
Ah!
Movies you really didn't want to be reminded of. I'm sorry, guys.
If anyone can email us about what Kangaroo Jack was about, feel free to do that, because that's not a movie I'm ever touching.
Yeah, if we're really hoping for our take on that, no. 110% no. None of us would have watched the movie is the problem.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do tonight?
Oh God, please no.
Masturbate to kangaroos. Bye!